It started with the disappearance of a local teenager. Born Edward Araujo Jr., the missing 17-year-old had been living as a young woman by her chosen name, Gwen.
When she told me that she didn't identify with her body, I too told her that society was not going to be so accepting.
The investigation led police to 19-year-old Jaron Neighbors. He described a late-night party on the evening of Gwen's disappearance. The crowd knew Gwen as a young woman by the name of Lita. Two of the men at the party had sexual relations with her on another occasion. That night, they confronted Gwen with questions about her gender, and when they discovered she was biologically male, they reacted with violence. 6 Newark young people were there that night. As the confrontation escalated, 2 would decide to leave without ever calling the police. In a series of attacks, Gwen was punched, slapped, kicked, and struck in the head with a skillet. Gwen's plea for her life and her last words, "Please don't, I have a family," didn't stop the young men from beating and strangling her to death.
For the longest time, I would just hear her scream, and I'd replay it in my head over and over. I could hear her say, "Please don't do this to me, I have a family." You know, just to think about all the pain that she suffered that night, and then nobody to help. It was just hard.
The discovery that local youth were accused of killing Gwen intensified the tragedy.
You got to ask yourself, what got people to the point that they would feel that this behavior is okay? And then not just one, but several. I mean, in some ways, they're the result of the educational system and the cultural system here in Newark. And you got to say, how'd this happen? What went wrong here?
And that's what occurred in Laramie, too.
Barbara Williams has been teaching drama here for nearly 30 years. After witnessing students' growing intolerance towards gays and lesbians, she chose for the school's fall play The Laramie Project, the story of a murdered gay college student in Laramie, Wyoming.
After Matthew, we become a town defined by an accident, a crime.
The parallels with Laramie were about to become more remarkable. Fred Phelps, an anti-gay extremist from Kansas, who had protested after the murder of gay student Matthew Shepard, was now threatening to come to Newark.
And you're going to be in hell too if you don't repent yourself.
City leaders feared a clash would turn violent.
The Angels are here to just make a peaceful statement.
Literally borrowing a page from the Laramie Project, concerned residents dressed as angels to protect the cast from protesters.
This is my town. My kids went to this high school. We don't want any of our kids to get murdered for whatever reason.
It makes my skin crawl, and it brings me to tears that our community produced that kind of behavior.
I heard the mayor say that Gwen's murder was an exception, that Newark is really a tolerant community. I must differ.
They act like the terrorizing of gay kids and whatnot was a new thing. They act like it never.
In addition to safety concerns, some voiced uneasiness with Gwen's transgender identity.
However, the wrong message is that Eddie's death was a hate crime. The real message, I believe, is that we as parents need to educate our children and about the dangers of deceiving others.
This is not something they teach you at mayor's school. You do not learn how to deal with these types of tragedies.
We recommend that the City Council issue a statement encouraging and supporting the school district in its efforts to fully comply with California's School Safety and Violence Prevention Act of 2000.
Our concern was we want our citizens, whoever they are, to feel safe in our community. People say, well, you know, we need to promote tolerance. What a lot of people have to get past, that no, you don't tolerate people, you accept them.
Everybody squeeze in, big time, yeah!
My hope is that no town ever has this kind of tragedy, but I would be naive if I thought it will never happen again. And if it should ever happen in another town, that town has to be willing to take and accept responsibility.
There's something to be gotten from it is that everyone had to confront their own feelings about their unsureness when it comes to issues like gender and power and motive and what's acceptable and what isn't. I mean, I certainly did.
Out of her tragedy, I want to bring something positive in her memory. It does help to know that some people are learning and listening, and there is changes occurring.